In the past week, by Hashgacha Pratis, I had two students who were both in touch with me about similar challenges, particularly a relationship that they were entangled in that they knew wasn't the best for them, but were having a very hard time extricating themselves from. And I knew that for each girl that is going through a struggle like this, there's 10 more, maybe 100 more, who don't have a confidant to speak to, who don't trust that there is somebody that can confide in them, that they can confide in, that can coach them, that can sit on their head until they make smart choices. And these girls happen to both be girls that would be considered very Chassidish girls, went to good seminaries, have other younger girls that look up to them, and still, it's a struggle, a very intense struggle. And I wondered to myself if there's anything that I had ever taught them that would give them the skills, that would give them the ammunition to confront the challenge that they're going through right now. Did we ever, in all the years of high school, talk about respecting the intimate parts of our lives? Was there ever a text that we learned that related to the fact that the greatest growth opportunities come from our greatest struggles? Did we really unpack the idea of Yira Shamayim B'Seiser properly? Did we talk about looking for healthy ways to fill the void of loneliness? At the beginning of last year, I had a student who was not enjoying my Tanya lessons. In fact, when I started to teach, she would immediately start to daydream or look for somebody to speak to that was more entertaining than me. So when I saw her mother at our open school night, I pinned her down and I said, "Can you please tell me how I can get through to your daughter? Tell me what has been effective in the past. Tell me what's going to hook her in." So she said to me, "Rochel, you have to make your lessons more relevant. You have a Chabad house. How would you teach this same Tanya to girls who are not from? How do you do it? Do the same thing to my daughter. Teach in the same way to all of the girls." Well, to be honest, I felt very defensive by what she said. First of all, I thought to myself, my classes are very relevant. I thought they were very inspirational. Secondly, it is pretty hard to make every class relevant. There's a lot of analysis that comes before the relevant makabapatish, before the beauty and inspiration emerge. You need to have patience before things become relevant and juicy and inspirational. But of course, I didn't say any of this because I knew she was right. And I knew that if that was what she was saying, then that was what I was meant to hear. That I need to look for ways to make my classes more relevant, more strongly and directly addressing the questions that these girls have, their struggles, the tools that they need to confront their day-to-day challenges and growth. We know that the Alter Rebbe was the only chassid of the Baal Shem Tov who was not only not pursued or shown any kiruvim, but to the contrary, the Alter Rebbe's parents were instructed not to tell their young Reb Shneur Zalman about the Baal Shem Tov's identity or about their identity as Chabad Chassidim, which would be comparable to the child of a Chassidish family not telling their child who the Rebbe is or about their identity as Chassidim or Chabad Chassidim. All this so that the Alter Rebbe would come to make his own choice to become a chassid of the Maggid of Mezrich, depriving the Alter Rebbe of his own relationship as a chassid to the Baal Shem Tov, so that he would have what we call in Chassidic lingo, avoida b'koyach atzmai, self-initiated work. So important was avoida b'koyach atzmai to the Alter Rebbe's process that Chabad Chassidus was based on this work of a chassid learning to do the process of hispainus so that he can develop his own mature emotions and inspiration and be resilient in any circumstance, and even when his Rebbe is not close by, to give him that surge of love and inspiration and yiras shamayim and simcha. I think that today this becomes even more relevant in a time where the girls and the boys live in an era where temptation and distraction is so much the name of the game and so accessible, and we cannot rely on social pressure to help them make good choices. After they walk out of the door on that last day of high school, there are no infractions and no detention that are going to help them to dress in a way that's befitting to their identity as a Bas Chabad. And the only thing that's left is the values, the insights, the intellectual and emotional shifts that we were able to teach them through the learning. Now, I personally find it hard to see how to create every class loaded with relevance, because a lot of learning is about organizing and analyzing information. And today in the workshops, we learned how stimulating and fun that could actually be. But ideally, it should all circle back to learning meaning and relevant insights about life through Torah. A fresh lesson, a new and deeper perspective. Now, probably for our students to be receptive to hearing, to opening their heart to a moral insight, there needs to be a feeling of safety, respect, non-judgmentalism, and lots of love. Those thick chords, chevle, avoisois, ava, that can help a Jew, that could help us be mekarvon la Torah. And that itself is a lesson, a lifelong lesson, how we treat our students. But at the same time, all of that is creating an open pipeline for us to transmit the ammunition of resilience that they need for life. And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to find relevance in a parak of Chumash, even a parak of Tanya, even a sicha. Sometimes it takes a lot of work to bring it lamata me'asar tzvachim, to make it something that a student will feel, that is a meaningful insight for me. That's useful. You're talking to me, the millennial in 2019. But that's the work that we need to do. That's the work that the Rebbe taught us by bringing everything, even the most remote pasuk or Gemara, to be something that is the most delicious food for our mind, food for thought, and healing for our heart. Sometimes it takes opening up a dialogue to hear what the students think about the learning moment in the text. Stories are an awesome way to bring across a point, and sometimes having the courage to share my own process about a particular point of struggle and growth. I think that my resolution for this year is going to be to choose a few values that I feel are most pertinent and useful for teenage girls that will serve them well in life, and make sure that I can unpack them and have them emerge again and again in an organic way through the learning and to reinforce them. Because at the end of the day, I want my students to know that Torah and Hasidus have all the insights and tools that they need to better their lives, to be happy, to experience optimal pleasure, to overcome the struggles that life presents, and they don't need to look anywhere else.